Welcome to the second part of episode 6 entitled Reparations. If you missed the first part, here's a few clips with your host Eric Hicks and Delonte Wilkins.
I'm Eric Hicks. It's my esteemed co-host.
Delonte Wilkins here. Appreciate the intro.
Your hearing today, believe it or not, it's related to this.
Recently, I introduced proposed legislation and have shared it to some members of council. The proposed legislation I aim to address a systematic failure, namely the mass displacement of DC public school graduates. This legislation is called Our Students First Emerging Adult CB Pathway Program. The program aims to provide housing and a pathway to prosperity for emerging adults, particularly those graduating from DC public schools.
But I don't see the population in DC wanting to recall any of the council members because no one acted on the reparations bill. But beyond this point, it's no longer cool. So if those two council members get recalled, you will see me in the street every day with a petition. With whoever comes into office after them, I will make sure that we get enough signatures to get them recalled as well. Because we're done playing. We're not playing games no more. So, to the DC liberal, I want you to understand.
Now let us return to the second part with your host Eric Hicks and your co-host Delonte Wilkins.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Carl T. Rowan. As the new director of the United States Information Agency, I have the privilege to present to you a dramatic document of man's continuing search for dignity.
Freedom Now movement, hear me. We are requesting all citizens to move into Washington, to go by plane, by car, bus, any way that you can get there. Walk if necessary. We are pushing jobs, housing, desegregated schools. This is an urgent request. Please join. Go to Washington.
See that? Over. It's over, man.
It's over. It's over. You heard? It's over.
It's over. You know what I'm saying? Over.
It gotta stand. You gotta draw the line somewhere. And if you allow them, they keep dancing around, and people keep on dancing. And at some point, the party over.
It has to be, man.
They keep you dancing all day though. And they say, "Look, the party over. I'm tired. I don't feel like partying."
And that's the thing. The party has gone on long enough, and it's been, to me, it's been at our expense. And I don't want to be the butt of the joke.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to be the butt of the joke. So, as I said, the days of comfort are over.
Mm-hmm.
Over.
Good.
You are either going to plant your flag in the ground and commit to doing what's right, but we're not going to allow you to have false narratives and for those narratives to basically uproot good people for no other reason than a false narrative of all crime should matter, not just some crime, all crime. All crime. If the motherfucker wear all lives matter t-shirt, then you should wear all crime matter, because all crime do matter. So it's over. The second point was your boy. Your boy's always making the news.
Okay.
Donald John Trump. Okay.
You always say that's my boy.
It's your boy, man. Don't make you a bad guy. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. You got it.
But the Supreme Court, they just granted his stay. They're going to hear his case. I got certain feelings about that because I understand how the legal system works. You have certain justices who don't want him to go to trial. They want to delay it. They won't come right out and say it, but you can delay this trial. And my thing is that if justice is justice, then I need to see him put on trial. I'm not even a pro law enforcement guy. I'm probably more anti law enforcement than anything because that's been a tool that the state has used to bludgeon people that look like us.
Yeah.
But I need to see him on trial because I've told you before, it's not just about him. What did I say was on trial?
Whiteness.
There you go. You got an A. You see what I'm saying? You got an A. And what we're seeing is that people recognize that he represents so much more than just an individual. He represents so much of American history wrapped in one sorry individual. And America is, it's going through fits and stops because America has never quite known what to do with whiteness ever since the Civil War. It's never known what to do with it. After the Civil War, there were people who said that, listen, if you don't want Confederates to ever try to secede again, and you never want that level of bloodshed in your country, you don't want that level of rebellion, then you have to make them fear your law. But America never made Confederates fear the law. They allowed the Confederates back into the fabric of the country. Now, you can allow them back in, but when I say they allowed them back in, they allowed Confederates to have posts in the government, in Congress, in the Senate. These were people who just fought a war to bring your country to an end. The bloodiest war in American history. You allowed them back in. So America has never really figured out how do we deal with whiteness? We don't know how to deal with whiteness. We don't know because we fear that if we remove the stigma, the power of whiteness, then the country will collapse. And that's just not true. It's not true because so much of our blood, sweat, and tears have went into building the country. And you have other people who may be white, but who don't subscribe to whiteness. I think that all of us together can come up with something that will keep the country afloat. But what we know is that whiteness is pulling the country down. It's pulling the country down because no lies eternal. That's just a law of nature. Lies can't live for eternity. So when it's difficult for them to hold this guy accountable because of what he represents. And my thing is this: I sit back and I watch the Supreme Court condemn guys who were on death row. That there was evidence that suggested these people didn't commit the crimes. But you said, hey, the law is a law, and you allow these people to go to their execution. And with this guy has been he's been convicted in civil court of being a rapist. I won't even go down the long laundry list of things, but I understand what he represents, and I understand what's being done, because for them, as it's always been with whiteness, the cause is bigger than any individual, and he represents the cause. So, and it's pulling their systems, like it's stretching them all the way out to the point where they are at their breaking point. And it's only right, because if you were built on whiteness, then more than likely it's probably going to be whiteness that destroys you. So, me personally, I would like to see him brought to trial, because I remember him waving the flag to have these young black boys put to death in New York for raping a woman that they never even raped. So I need him, not necessarily for payback, but because he's been indicted, and I want him to have his day in court. I want him to have his day in court, because I saw what happened in front of me. I saw him in sight. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw him incite a group of whiteys, Confederates, to come and attack the Capitol. And even if I don't care about the Capitol, I understand the significance of what happened. I want him to have his day in court. And I don't think that if you were arrested, if you can't put your shit off indefinitely, if I couldn't put mine off indefinitely, if the regular Joe Blow down here from Tempe K can't put their shit off indefinitely, then why should he be able to put his off? No. So I want him to have his day in court. I think he should go to trial. I won't sit here and say whether or not he should be convicted. I have my own thoughts on that, but he's entitled to the presumption of innocence. So I'll give him that. But he should be taken to trial. The Supreme Court should not be putting their finger on the scale to make sure that he doesn't go to trial before the election, because I've seen too many Black lives unceremoniously ended because they decided to put their finger on the scale the other way. So your boy. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's just where I'm at with it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, and yeah, man. I guess we'll see, you know.
Yeah, see, it's a lot to going on. I mean, I don't feel like nobody should be able to above the law, especially, I mean, considering, I mean, we is under the scrutiny of the law all the time. So I'm just saying, like, I too would like this. I mean, just for entertainment purposes, I like to see the trial. I would, me personally.
A lot of people would. Me, I'm not necessarily the entertainment type when it comes to that, but I want to see it because I think that they as much as I hate to say it, I think that the government has a compelling case. Because I know I saw that day. I'm not a fool. You know, they want you to say, oh, well, that wasn't what was happening. Well, guess what? If you want, if I'm sick of people telling me that a 70-something-year-old man, he meant this and meant that, but you don't give that same level of understanding, or you don't give those same excuses to 16-year-old man from around Wellington Park or goddamn or goddamn Minnesota Avenue. With them, oh no, this is what he meant.
But this is my thing though. At some point, I mean, you gotta believe the courts is arbitrary, right? I mean, like the laws is subject to be interpreted however they want to interpret it, whenever they want to interpret it. So if I understand, me looking at the criminal justice code, and obviously you can point to a bunch of cases and things like that, but like, well, you know what I'm prepared to see in the trial with Trump in it? I'm prepared to see him be above the law by any means necessary, right in front of my face. And no matter how much evidence stacked up against him, they're gonna tell me it ain't what I think it is. So
well, guess what, bro? Guess what? You know what they call Missouri?
Shit.
Do you know the
name
for the state of Missouri?
Nah, tell me.
It's the show me state.
Show me.
Show my black ass. Show me. Show me a trial. If he's acquitted, then guess what? I will respect the jury's verdict. I will respect it. But I need to see him in a courtroom, and I need to see I need to see it work.
I need to see it. I need to see it. I agree with you. I just want to see it, but I'm like, I remember the guy Zimmerman was on trial in front of the whole TV. You remember Zimmerman with Trayvon?
Of course I do.
So when they pushed that verdict back in front of my face, and I seen all those black guys that was from my community that got convicted of murders, and I seen this guy get off, and I said right there, I knew right then and there what this was. Like, so I don't never trick myself no more. I don't never trick myself.
Well, that's why I wanted people to see the movie Origin. I wanted people to see the movie Origin because it puts it in its proper context. And I'll just wrap it up by saying this. There's a rap song, right? Yeah. I didn't even know who the rap guy Roddy Ricch was, right?
Roddy Ricch. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even know who he was, right? But in his song, he said some shit, and it made me love the song. He said it, and he said, I put 100 bands on Zimmerman shit.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I said, oh yeah,
Yeah.
bless your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Bless your heart. Because you know what I'm saying?
100 bands.
Yeah.
Get it
He
done.
put 100 bands on Zimmerman shit.
Get
Hey, I
it
loved
done.
it. Every time I hear that, I rewind it and I play it again. You
Hey.
did what? Put 100 bands on Zimmerman shit. You did what? I put
Yeah,
100 bands on
hey, you
Zimmerman
know
shit.
what? You just pointed that lyric out to me. I almost missed it, but once you said it, I remember him saying it.
See what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
See what I'm saying? So yeah, man. I just, I need to see this guy stand trial, and because it's important for me because I understand what's at stake.
Mhm.
So I want to see this dude stand trial, and I don't. He's entitled to the presumption of innocence, but I need to see him stand trial. So anyway,
Mhm.
that's how I feel about it.
Okay. So what's going
People,
on?
we are ready for reparations. That's the talk of the country. I mean, it's going on in so many places. And it's like people cringe when they hear that word, but I don't cringe because I understand what it's like. Just imagine, Tay, your whole life, you have to race against somebody who gets to start at the 50-yard line, and you're starting at the fucking end zone.
Mhm.
And every day of your life, you're running that race, and people constantly get to start at the 50-yard line. It's not right. It's not right. So, and America is going to have to come to terms with it. They're going to have, because if America doesn't, then eventually there will be no America. I know it won't, because the country will tear itself apart at the seams, because the lies are just not eternal. In America, this whole experiment in democracy, it's been predicated on a lie. So I want you to listen to this system, right? This is we're going to go through three snippets of three different videos, and because they each deal with reparations, and I want you to absorb what's being said.
I think, well, reparations to me means I remember, I reclaim, I restore, I reimagine. Those are my four tenets in looking at over 500 years of Black and Indigenous history, the hidden stories, the property relationships in land and bodies, from the possessive logic that has been rendered in the Western Hemisphere. And in that, the toll that has been an impact of slavery as a contract, as law, as implemented in all the facets of life, and how founders and policymakers legitimized this experience. Mm-hmm. Now, how we should be meeting this, in my own opinion, we should be meeting this with a case of examination that is to weigh the balance, justice, equity, what belongs to whom, and at some point, real dollars. So there's the moral issue, as James Baldwin talks about America's moral credit. Martin Luther King pointed to the moral compass, the check marked insufficient funds. All of that has a part and parcel to do with a 21st century view looking back over the centuries of what reparations will mean to us. How do we reconcile and repair in areas of education, the health and wealth gap, all of those issues that confront us today?
Can't give them justice, but I can give them generosity.
Saratoga Springs millionaire Ed Mitzen decided to take reparations into his own hands after witnessing the legal struggle of 3 people who survived the 1921 Tulsa massacre, all of them over 100 years old.
And it just made me angry. I was sitting there thinking, what happened to them is irrefutable. Whether or not it happened 102 years ago or 2 years ago, it happened. It's undeniable. And it felt to me like the government out there was trying to run the clock out on these folks.
Mitzen heard the story and was fed up with what he saw as inaction from the city of Tulsa. He did something shocking. He gave each of them $1 million of his own money.
And I just felt like I'm in a position that I can make their lives a little bit better so that they know that whenever it's their time to leave this earth, they know that their families are a little bit better off today than they were yesterday.
Viola Fletcher, Leslie Benningfield Randall, and Hughes Van Ellis were all children at the time of the 2-day-long rampage, where a white mob attacked a majority Black neighborhood, killing as many as 300 people, burning down thousands of homes and businesses.
We just heard people running, screaming, and smell smoke, and seeing houses burning, and people getting shot and falling dead. I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day.
The survivors are still fighting after a judge dismissed their lawsuit. Last year, the state Supreme Court granted them an appeal. Hughes Van Ellis died waiting on that appeal in October. He was 102. I think a lot of people look at issues like reparations, they look at those issues as Black issues. Right. You feel that they're not just Black issues, these are American issues.
Absolutely. And I think that many folks fear that if other people rise up, that they're going to somehow get pushed down. And it's not a zero-sum game. If we can get everybody up the curve, we're a much better country for it. And I truly believe that it's our responsibility in the white community to look at ourselves and look at the advantages that we've had and try to give those same advantages to other people that have been left behind.
These discussions, they're going on, they're going on everywhere because you can't have a society. For one, we don't even know what a real democracy looks like. That's a story for another day. But we don't know what a democracy looks like that functions on real equality and real equity. We have no clue in America. We really don't. We have no clue. Some people don't have the stomach to know what that looks like. And, people don't want to cede power. It's never ceded easily. Because people have achieved a level of comfort. But that's a story for another day. For me, what's so interesting is that reparations, when it comes to us, it doesn't have to be divisive. It doesn't have to be divisive. You have all of these people, like in DC, a lot of the people that we see every day who smile in our face, but you oppose reparations. Why? Why do you oppose reparations? Why? Really? So it's not as if the country hasn't done it before. Now, it was done in DC, right? Did you know that?
Reparations?
Reparations in DC in 1840.
I'm not hip. You gotta hip me.
Okay. I'm going to hip you. HIPU. Okay. This is what happened. In 1840, right? Abraham Lincoln, he signed it was called the Act for Release of Certain Persons Held to Service or Labor with the District of Columbia. It was an act, right? But guess what, though?
Okay.
They paid the slave owners compensation for the slaves that they had to let go. So that's who got reparations. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah. So that's like the slave owners in DC, they got paid for their property that they lost.
Ain't that something? That ain't that. Look,
Yeah.
we gonna make it
So,
up to y'all angry mob of white people who mad that we freeing them by giving y'all some more things. And
right.
letting y'all know
So,
that it's still going on. It's like a wink move. It's like, look, it's still going on.
without a doubt, they would give $300 per slave release.
Mm.
So
I wonder what that
of course,
equates to in nowadays dollars.
well, actually, you know what? I like math. This act, it granted $300 to per enslaved person, and it was for 3,100 enslaved people. So now, for today, for those 3,100 people, that $300 a piece, it will be approximately $23 million. 23 million
$23
today.
million. For how many people?
3,100 people.
3,100 people would have been $23 million.
So you damn near paying $1 million a person.
They were paid $1 million a person.
Basically, yeah, and it would have been in today's money, they would have been paid $1 million a person.
Okay.
And that was just for,
Yeah,
and that was just for 3,100 people in DC.
Because you probably could buy a Cadillac with about $200-300 back then.
I didn't do to buy some fried chicken. And if you got some spare change, why not buy some watermelon? You might as well take it all the way there. I mean, don't stop with the chicken. Shit. I'm gonna see if I can get me a side of chitlins. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, listen, it's 23 million in today's money. In 1998, Ronald Wilson Reagan, he signed a Civil Liberties Act, and that act it provided 1.5 billion in reparations to surviving Japanese American internees and their families for the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. Now, that 1.5 billion that he gave them back in 1988, that would be $4 billion today, in today's money. So this is what the Japanese got for being interned in camps. Okay. Then the United States, through the Marshall Plan, they helped to ensure that Jews would receive reparations from the Holocaust, and that included making certain investments over time. Jews would eventually receive reparations from Germany to the tune of 3.5 billion Dutch marks, which in today's money, it would have been $29.4 billion. But I bring that up because the United States, they were instrumental in making sure that that happened. Okay. You policing other people's conduct when you fail to police your own conduct. Worry about what's going on in your own home. So they, of course, Native Americans have received land, and they've received billions of dollars in benefits and programs for being forcibly, really from having a whole country taken away from them, basically. If you just want to be.
Look, I mean, what's interesting to me? I got like, I don't know for where I landed on this reparations conversation for real, because Frederick Douglass, and I pull his quote up. Frederick Douglass said the Native Americans was the black people. Frederick Douglass said this back then. He said Native Americans was the black people. So when you say the whole country taken from you, and that's why I can't think about what these people could pay me in reparations, because the lies that gotta continue for generations and generations, like what they have done to us, what they have actually done to us. I don't think you could pay me. Like, anything you pay me gonna be an insult. Actually, me accepting the payment from you and your artificial system is gonna be like it's gonna almost come off as an insult to me. So I don't think they could pay me. I could pay myself, is what I'm supposed to be able to do.
I get it. I get it. But my thing is that they need to break bread. They need to break bread because the thing is this, is that a lot of what happens in this country is based on wealth. Now, just the act of giving people money, that's not the end all. And this is why you need task force to study, because this entire system, it has to be deconstructed. It has to be deconstructed. Now, getting money, that's definitely part of it for me. That's part of it.
When you say deconstructed though, because that's my thing, you said it. When this country acknowledged what they done to me, that's my payment right there. Because you know what, that narrative, I can start building on something real from here. We can start deconstructing this system. If I allow you to pay me within this system right now, if I allow you to pay me, that's not going to be sufficient. But if you admit what you've done, if you admit the lies and you start helping me dig into my history about what y'all done to me, then that'll be enough payment for me to start standing on to this for generations and generations to come. Because at some point in history, we're gonna say the United States came to its knees and recognized what it's done to these people. I don't ask for no money. I don't need no money. I just need you to admit what you done. If you admit what you done, that's enough to sit right there and make me draw the line from everybody that's sitting right here saying now we standing on what we did. Cause it's people that say we stand on what we did and we don't owe y'all nothing, and we can lead those people back there. You see what I'm saying? We can lead them back there. But the people that sit right there and say, you know what? All right, we can fight together to figure this out, how we move forward. Because it's a fight. I don't think it's a payment that's gonna make me chill. You pay me $1 million, I'm not gonna feel excited or happy about the death that I experienced.
Well, see, that's the thing. I understand what you're saying, but that's where we part ways. Me, you're going to acknowledge, but you're going to pay me. You're going to pay me because we have never got an opportunity to share the wealth that we created in this country. So yeah, I'm all for the truth, but the truth is also that brick by brick, we built the country. So now guess what? If I built this elaborate Fortune 500 company, and you just come along and say, okay, everybody, E created this company, but E can turn his motherfucking pockets inside out because he's broke. No, E needs to be made whole. E needs to be made whole. And a part of the law, the Supreme Court, right, they have a case, United States versus Morrison. And Morrison talks about when a person suffers an injury, right, the remedy, it has to be commensurate with the injury suffered. So now, in this case, we've been injured in innumerable ways. Now, for you to admit the truth, that's part of repayment, but I need that cash. I need that cash because that wealth is instrumental in rebuilding communities. It's instrumental in making infrastructures. And when you create infrastructures, then you assure that the people who come along after you, those infrastructures allow them to stand whole, because people don't realize the extent to which we have been exploited by America. Like, you just take Burry Farms, you know, and what was done with Burry Farms in the 40s. People don't realize about what happened to Burry Farms in the 40s and how that land, you know, it was originally set up, you know, for Black folks who came from the South, and how part of that land was basically taken from them to build the Suitland Parkway. And then today we're having the same discussion about Burry Farms. It's basically being taken in total, right? So it's not enough for you to just acknowledge what you've done. No, I need that cash. Let me get my money. I've heard derogatory jokes about, you know, Black folks they're not going to do nothing. They're going to buy fried chicken and they're going to buy Cadillacs. And it was hilarious to me, but like the guy said, Well, if they want to buy fried chicken and
That's
they
what they
want
want to buy. But look, I ain't gonna lie to you, E. E. I ain't gonna lie to you, E. You want the money? Oh, you say you want the money. I want the nuclear codes. I want them. Airships with the motherfucking the planes and shit. I want that. Like I need
that
access
comes
to
with
that.
wealth.
I need
But
that.
that comes
Like
with
if I could get that, you can keep the money. I don't need the money. I just need some warships and planes and all the technology y'all got to oppress me. I need those codes because I need to defend myself. And y'all could go ahead and look, if we gonna fight, we gonna do what they say, take 2 steps, then draw. We gonna play the cowboy game, then that's cool. But I need the same thing y'all got.
Right? The beautiful part about the truth and the beautiful part about redistribution of wealth is that power, historical power, is deconstructed. Because now when wealth has to be redistributed, you no longer have the power that you traditionally held. And this was one of the things that happened in Cuba, when Batista lost power and you had wealthy white Cubans who fled to the United States. And it was a situation where power was being there was a redistribution of power.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have a redistribution of power, then all of these things, they necessarily come with it. It's not just a single transaction. No, when that door is open, it's a floodgate. A lot of things coming behind it. But one of those things for me will be, as my man Denzel said in Training Day, I'm gonna get that money. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna get that money because it's owed to us. Because it's owed to us. A whole lot of people worked, as Malcolm said, from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. So that
we need your money. Look, so E gonna get the money. I just need all the guns and weapons. That's all.
Yeah. But you know what? Dig this though. Because for the listener, right? I want the listener to understand something, right? I want the listener to understand, right? Why reparations is so important, right? I'm gonna walk them through something real quick, right? Because and this is like a very, very like an abbreviated portion of certain things that were done, but people don't realize the currency that the Black body represented in the United States during that time. So in 1860, right, there was over $3 billion assigned to the physical bodies of Black enslaved Americans to be used for labor and production. In today's money, just the bodies alone would be worth $111 billion. That's not even counting the work that was done. Okay. Now, when we talk about some of the broken promises, right? We know that there's a thing called Field Order 15. Field Order 15, that was one of the it was the brainchild of Rutherford B. Hayes. After it was actually during the final stages of the Civil War, and it would have 400,000 acres of confiscated Confederate land. It would be given to Black families along with a mule, 40 acres and a mule. That's where that came from. It came from Field Order 15. After Lincoln died, you had President Andrew Johnson. He came in and he pretty much reversed the order and said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use the power of my pen, and I'm going to give all of these Confederate traitors, I'm going to give them clemency, and I'm going to reverse their convictions for being traitors against the United States, and I'm going to give them their land back. So that was the end of Field Order 15. So they got their land back. So that was their reparations, right? So now we know that in the 1930s, after the stock market crashed, the FBI administration, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, they implemented a series of policies as part of the New Deal legislation, and it was estimated to cost roughly $50 billion to prepare the country out of the Depression. Right now, there were two relevant policies which could have provided some form of redress for America's past. That was the GI Bill, and there was Social Security, right? The goal of the GI Bill, according to the FDR administration, it was to help World War II veterans, which a lot of us fought in World War II. It was basically to allow veterans to adjust to civil life by providing them with benefits, including low-cost mortgages, low-interest loans, and financial support. Okay, now, our grandfathers, great-grandfathers, so forth, although they fought in World War II, they were not allowed, they were prohibited from redeeming their post-war benefits, as local housing covenants and redlining limited them from basically being able to cash in on the GI Bill, because a lot of these things the federal government delegated to the state. And this is why when you hear people talk about states' rights, I cringe, because I know what states are capable of doing to people who look like us. So the Black veterans, they weren't allowed to utilize this. So that set us way back, because you had all of these soldiers coming home that were allowed to move into the middle class, but it got us left behind, and we pretty much moved into the slums. Okay, so these are just like two of the things, that happened with, Social Security and the GI Bill, right? Because regardless of Social Security, the two provisions that would have improved equity in America, they were excluded from the legislation. And that was the domestic and farm workers. They were excluded during that time. So the study showed that those omissions, that they effectively excluded 60% of Blacks across the United States and 75% of Blacks in Southern states. So you're starting to see the pattern of how people got left behind. Now, a lot of people, they're familiar with Tulsa, because that's been like, over the past years, it was like this big revelation to people about what happened to Black folks in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? It wasn't a revelation to me because I already had known, right? But I want people to understand that Tulsa, that wasn't the first time that we have been attacked in mass when we've tried to build communities, right? We've tried to build communities. We've tried to exercise our right to vote in these communities. And basically, we did these things independently by, quote unquote, pulling up our own bootstraps, even though America never gave us boots. We had to go find the boots to put on, even if they didn't fit, and then try to pull us up by those straps. But in 1866, New Orleans, right? This is post-Civil War. In 1866, New Orleans. It's called the New Orleans Massacre, right? In July of 1866, you had 38 African Americans killed because of Black voter participation, right? By a mob of angry whites. Okay. Fast forward, not that far later, to the Memphis riots of 1866. Now, this is when they allowed the Irish, who were, I don't ever believe the Irish were niggas. I've had debates with different Irish about, oh, we were discriminated against. Yeah, you were discriminated against until you became white. And then you said it was cool to discriminate against us. And then nobody ever owned your body. So get out of here with that, okay? It's a false comparison, and I reject that shit. I never even allowed them to get it out their mouth. But in 1866, you had Irish police force in Memphis. They raided our neighborhoods in May of 1866. They looted the homes. 46 African Americans were killed. The women were raped. The homes were burned down. The homes that weren't burned down, they were pillaged and they were looted. So basically, that was our little haven, our little wealth that was taken. Okay. We fast forward to 1868. The St. Bernard Parish in Louisiana, in October, the home of freedmen were raided, and an undisclosed amount of people were killed for voter participation because people wanted to vote. The homes were looted once again. So this is another instance where we tried to build a community and tried to take part in this democracy, and we were prohibited. Okay. Then you had the Opelousas massacre, right? That was in Louisiana as well, in September of 1868. There, it was a white teacher that was actually killed for assisting black teachers in teaching black kids to read. When the community got wind of it, black homes were burned, and there was the number of blacks killed. It was undisclosed. It was 150 to 300. So that's another instance. You didn't want us to have schools. You burned the schools. You killed the white teacher, and you killed 150 to 300 African Americans. But I won't stop there. 1871, and this is not even all. This is just some of the more egregious ones that I actually picked out. In 1871, the Meridian Race Riot, Meridian, Mississippi. You had efforts to suppress and intimidate African Americans for participating in the political process, because during that time you had more African Americans running for office, because that was during the Reconstruction era. Okay, so over the span of days, 30 African Americans were killed for attempting to participate in this democracy. Okay, 1873, Colfax in Louisiana, right? Estimated 62 to 153 African Americans were killed because they dared to contest the 1872 election. Now, they didn't contest it. The election was contested by people who felt that they didn't have the right to vote. They shouldn't be voted. So white mob stormed the courthouse, and they pretty much they killed an undisclosed amount of black folks, which I just stated, and there were also white Republicans killed during that time too, because they were basically charged with enabling or helping Negroes vote. That's a complicated history, which we'll discuss at a later date, because it's a false narrative that surround that whole Republican and Democrat thing now. But that's a story for another day. 1874, the Vicksburg massacre, right? You're starting to see the pattern, right? I won't even go down the list of how many people were killed in the Vicksburg massacre. It was in that massacre, it was 150 to 300 African Americans that were shot in the head. 1876 in South Carolina, statewide, in Hamburg, in Charleston, in Ellerton, in Edgefield, in Mount Pleasant, in Beaufort, right? White mobs stormed these little black enclaves, right, for trying to participate in this democracy. Okay. In 1898, in Wilmington, North Carolina, same thing. White mobs stormed that area because you had black and whites that were they had a biracial government, and you had angry white mobs who they no, we're not going for that. So they pretty much stormed the area. Of course, a lot of people underestimate that you had laws back then, but people say, well, why didn't African Americans just protect themselves? Well, maybe that has something to do with laws that prohibited black people from owning guns during that time, or these covenants where people just wouldn't sell black folks guns. So it's not as if people just laid down and allowed themselves to be killed. Okay, so that was in Wilmington. 1906 in Atlanta, same thing. Black folks trying to participate in this democracy and this experiment. Once again, their areas were raided, looted, people were killed. Okay, 1909 in Harrison, Arkansas, the same thing. Okay, 1910 in Slocum, Texas, the same thing. In 1912 in Forsyth County, Georgia, same thing. 1917, East St. Louis, same thing. 1919, the Red Summer, in Elaine, Arkansas, in Jenkins County, Georgia, in Macon, Mississippi, in Chicago, in Baltimore, in Omaha, in Longview, in Knoxville, Tennessee. In 1920, the Okakee Massacre, and then of course in 1921. But you start to see the pattern where people deliberately, we've tried to set up these enclaves of where we've tried to separate, but not even separate. We've tried to set up communities. And these communities, they were burned, they were looted. Okay. So when people talk to me about crime today, I'm not unsensitive to it. But my thing is that you can't get on the news and speak to me with all of this passion about a teen carjacking a fucking person. I care about that. But if you really, really cared about that, then you would go back and there would be some form of redress with the historic crimes. Because in any place in the world where you have poverty, you're going to have crime. But our poverty is not because we are less than, it's because we were deliberately prohibited from participating in this democratic process. And you have those people who think that, well, the civil rights passed in 1964, and the Voting Rights Act passed in 1965. But of course, discrimination and systemic racism, it didn't stop then, because policies, they don't change people's mind, especially when there is nothing that would prohibit people. Let's say if America say, well, you know, if we found guilty of being a racist, the punishment is death or life in prison, like it is for selling crack. Guess what? You have a whole lot less racists, a whole lot less. But there has never been any real reason for people not to, for people to change their, their thought pattern, to change their biases. The penalties are not really substantive. So, me personally, you don't favor the money, but me personally, yeah, I want the money. I want everything. I want the money. I want the power to come with it. I want the wealth. I want a deconstruction of systems. I want it all. Yeah, I want it all. Yeah, they can call me a greedy nigger or whatever. Yeah,
I just want them to leave me alone.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So to wrap it up, I agree with the sister in what she said in Boston, and I'm all for the families in St. Louis, because the Jesuits, they made money off of our Black bodies, and I think it would be unfair to just single out the Jesuits, because it happened nationwide. So, but there's going to have to be a reckoning. We've been running from it for so long, and the country's coming apart at the seams. So everything relates. This is why you have people that are so enamored with Trump, because he represents a direct departure from that, saying that, well, we don't have to feel guilty about that. We can move on from that. And I'm here to say, you can't. No, you can't move on from that. I'm not going to allow you to move on.
We start from right there.
Yeah. So, that's those are just my thoughts. And I want people to understand that they're the direct line from slavery to Reconstruction to Jim Crow to the inequities that we see today. They're the direct line. And until we get serious about addressing and confronting them, we're going to struggle as a country. So, and this won't be the last time we talk about it. But I just hope that everyone who tuned in, hopefully they understand that they're the reason why reparations is necessary. And I'm not going to stop talking about it. That leads me into the slavish shit I seen in the week. It was some slave shit, basically. When you Shannon Sharp, we saw Cam Newton's fight. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that.
Around it, and I don't care what Cam his hair look like, how he dresses. The man is taking time out of his day to give back. Show the man some courtesy. Show the man respect.
Yeah, you got to.
That's the problem with us. That's the problem. And I ain't talking about nobody else. I'm talking about our community, because that's what we need to address. Because that's what he was out there doing, trying to help that community. and you be disrespectful, and you've been that way with Cam. And I just don't know why. I don't know how, but parents, grandparents, uncles, and aunts, we need to do a better job with these kids.
Right. Especially
because, and then we understand, I don't know why they want nobody to hire that boy or that girl. I don't know how, you know why.
Yeah.
Because they talk to you like you left things. So if they talk to you and they see you every day, what do you think they're doing when they go on somebody's job? What do you think they're doing once they get on somebody's job?
It's one of the best that played our game. You have to.
You know what? I tell you what you've never seen. Peyton and Eli been having a camp for 20-something years. You ain't never seen no kids be disrespectful to Peyton and Eli. Tell me the footage. Tell me the footage that you've seen out there. Show it to me. What Peyton or Eli asked these kids, or the Drew Brees, because a lot of times they take up a lot of these pro quarterbacks and sometimes upper level college quarterbacks. Show me the footage. It's us because we think it's cute. Hey, man, I went out there, man, I told Cal to shut up. I told him he was trash. I told him he was garbage. Y'all think that's cute. It's not. It's not. And you wonder why. I don't. I've been stopped wondering.
Right.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's really embarrassing that somebody take time out of their day, out of their schedule, out of their life, and try to give back. And you disrespectful, ungrateful. Man, Cam, like I told you, Cam way better than me.
Yeah.
Cause I don't have patience for my own kids to be disrespectful. I've been damned if I'm gonna let somebody else's kid disrespect me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what people that don't look like us saying? You gotta do nothing, just sit back.
Yeah.
You couldn't sit. Ain't gotta do nothing. That's what they're saying, Ocho. You know what they're saying.
Most definitely.
And then we get mad when why? When you act like that man giving back.
He ain't gonna stop though. Cam ain't letting it stop him. This definitely ain't gonna stop him. He gonna keep working with the kids, man. And how anybody, Cam Newton.
You gotta talk to him. You gotta talk to me. I don't know what's going on. Tell me what's going on.
Well, for one, he jumped the gun. I don't know Shannon Sharp. I don't have a beef with Shannon Sharp, but he was out of pocket. He was way out of pocket because you use the incident what the optics of it look like as a referendum on black people. What in the fuck do black parents got to do with that, man? What do black parents got to do with that?
Yeah.
Why, man? Like really, like why? Like and this is the thing, right? Like this had absolutely nothing to do with us as a people, man. Absolutely nothing. It's not a referendum on black folks, bro. It's not. And he used it as an opportunity to compare it to Eli, to Peyton Manning, Breeze, and the code of conduct at their camps. So basically what you're doing is you are elevating these people, and but you're doing it at our expense. Why, bro? Why? And the media narrative that emerged, days after, they kept saying the TCB crew, the TCB, the TJB. So they kept saying crew, like it was a gang, right? So two things came out. And this is why I say Shannon Sharp, this is why I say he's out of pocket. Because two things came out. Okay, the two things that came out is this. The guys that was fighting Cam Newton, it wasn't kids at all. These was grown men. They were coaches, okay? They were coaches that coached for the at the football camp. So your whole narrative about this is to be blamed on black parents or whatever, that's something that you need to check yourself about, because American society, the dominant culture in your mind has made you feel this way, so that when you look in the mirror, it's apparent that you hate what you see or you feel less than. Because if I want to compare myself to somebody, you know who I compare myself to? I compare myself to my grandparents, my great grandparents. They set the standard of conduct in my world.
Mhm.
Not no motherfucking Eli Manning,
Yeah.
Peyton Manning. No, they don't set the standard of conduct for me. Nah. So you're out of pocket. But then when they kept saying, "Oh, it was the TCB crew," well, guess what the TC, whatever the TAB, the TBB,
Yeah.
the shit stand for it was a TSP. And the TSP is actually it is Top Shelf Performance. That's the name of the football camp. It's a football camp for wide receivers. But they kept saying TSP crew like it was some kind of gang of Bloods, Crips, G's, whoever. Top Shelf Performance Football Camp. So you use this as a referendum. You call yourself going on TV. Why are you embarrassed? Why are you embarrassed that some people fought that well, you know Cam Newton, but you don't know these other guys, but why are you embarrassed? And for me, it goes back to people allowing the so-called dominant culture to set the standard of what morals of conduct are acceptable. I don't allow them to do that in my life.
Mhm.
I get my code of conduct from my elders that reared me, the people that I saw come up around. These were some of the most respectful people that I've ever seen, not just black, but they were some of the most respectful people. It's like they live by a code of ethics.
That you know what you're doing right now to me right now? You making me look at Shannon Sharp, right? Because I'm agreeing with you, because it was something as he was talking that was rubbing me the wrong way, and you helping me see why you obviously thrown off for the same reasons I'm thrown off. And I'm sitting right here listening to him like who give a fuck what they talking about? Like that's what I'm thinking, like, what the fuck? Like I I don't know why they try to jump Cam Newton. I don't know why they try to jump, but Cam Newton won the fight. So like,
Right. What do that got to do with black culture? That's the thing.
It was all black. It was all black. So I think, I'm trying to get in Shannon Sharp shoes right now because I'm looking at him right now, and on my screen really, and he angry. He angry at those people. But I think you're right where he angry at not just those people, but he's angry at black people because it's like, why would you say something like that? And
that's the thing.
Yeah, so look, let me save some space for him because I gotta be the devil's advocate right now because I like Shannon Sharp a lot. I do like Shannon Sharp. He usually be on point for me, right? And he threw me off just now, but I think he upset. I think he upset at black people. But I'm trying to be like, he got this check from these white people. And in his mind, he thinking like, these people not racist. They gave me a $10 million check. If all these niggas do is act right, if they just act right, they could be like me. I think that's his attitude. I think he's somewhere in that space right there.
Well, he need to get out of that space, man. He need to get out of that space because my thing is this, is that it's too many hard-working black folks, right, who have played by the rules their whole life. You are calling people out. You calling out black parents, people that are going to work every day. They are doing their best with the hand that they've been dealt. But you use one incident that you've been misinformed about, and you use it as a bludgeon against the black way of life. Now, my thing is this, right? You talk about black kids are disrespectful. Black kids is and black kids that. Well, I got news for you because I'm gonna close this out with a letter from my girl Zora Neale Hurston, and I'm reading that letter specifically to Shannon Sharp, specifically to him. But my thing is this, Tay. With everything, because see, a part of me love Donald Trump. You know why I love Donald Trump?
Oh, now you on the Donald. Hold on, you admitting it now? Okay, go ahead.
And I'm gonna tell you why I love him. You know why I love him, though?
All right, go ahead.
I love him because what he did was he proved a point to me that's it's something that I've been seeing my whole life. But when he came along, he proved it. And what he proved was this, and I always say this, Baldwin always would say, hey man, white people don't live by the rules that they use to judge other people. And Shannon Sharpe need to understand that. You comparing yourself to people who don't live by the rules that you are ascribing to them. They don't live by them rules, man.
Yeah.
So now you have deified them at our expense.
Yeah.
Live by them rules. But this the thing, Tate. See, Trump came along, and this is a dude who grabbed a woman by her pussy.
Yeah.
This is a dude that's been found by a jury to be liable for rape. This is a dude that the Department of Justice found discriminated against Black people when he wouldn't allow them to move in his apartment buildings. This is a dude that sat back and he aggressively pushed for the death of 5 innocent teens. This is a dude that mocked a motherfucker that had cerebral palsy. And guess what? More than half of white people voted for him, right? But when they came to work the day after the election, we didn't make them explain why they voted for him. We never said nothing. It wasn't a referendum on them.
You know what I think about white people? You know what I actually think about them? It's an urge in white people to be free like us.
Well, but
let me finish though, because it's like, because you heard what I said. It's an urge for them to be free like us, and we ain't so free in their system, right? But it's an urge for them because I think they love when Trump go up there and be like, oh, like when he go up there, because ain't that what we do? We do that, and ain't that's what they attracted to in our hip hop community? All of this. Oh, fuck this. And Trump said, so it's something in these white folks that I've seen when they find one of their own, because it's not too many of their own that go up there and go like this and just I'm white lives matter. I'm like it's not too many of them that do that. So a lot of them put on that front. So I think he's speaking to the souls of these white folks to feel free, as we've expressed our freedom, because that's where we get our freedom from when we say, you know what, I don't give a fuck. Because that's the only way we're going to get free, is when we say we don't give a fuck. Because once we keep giving a fuck and we keep thinking about what they think about what we on, we ain't never going to get free. But when we say, you know what, there we go.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, there's validity to that. My thing is this, that I don't ascribe to be like them. I don't ascribe to be like that.
Exactly.
I have very well-rounded, decent people that raised me. So I don't need to put up on a pedestal people who have lived by certain codes, but those codes aren't similar to the codes that they use to disparage and belittle others. And not all of them do it. But in the dominant culture, it's inescapable. My thing is that I've seen enough to know that, whoa, dude, I don't want to be the same, because to be equal means to be the same. I don't want to be the same as that. I don't want to be like that. That's not what I ascribe to be. I want to ascribe to be the type of person as my grandmother, as Miss Felder, Amon Queen. These were titans in my world, because I watch these women and I watch how they move in a racist America, and I watch how they were able to make things happen, how they were able to keep households together. Those are my heroes. So I don't ascribe to be and for him to sit there and say his grandmother told him XYZ, you disrespecting that woman by saying, well, they would never do this at Peyton Manning camp, or they wouldn't. So that means basically that you don't look at that woman the way that you talk about you look at her. And so I have a problem with it because we don't question whites for throwing a majority support behind Trump after everything that he's shown you he is or is not. They're never interrogated for that. They're not interrogated when some young white kid walks in a church and kills 9 innocent people or goes down to Texas and shoots 22 motherfuckers. There's no indictment on their community as a whole because they view it as the actions of a single deranged individual. Did I like the fact that Cam Newton fought motherfuckers at camp? I don't like it, but that's something that's related to them. It doesn't relate to you. It don't relate to me. And anybody who thinks that it's an indictment of you and I for something that happened down in Georgia, then you sick.
Crazy.
You're sick. Because we in DC, we in Maryland. What do we got to do with what's down there? It had nothing to do with us. But I'm not going to use Peyton Manning or Drew Brees to make a point. Hell, some of them voted for Trump. We don't attack them for that. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I would hope that one day when he turned on the bar and the stood, because he gonna see us one day. Oh yeah, he gonna see us.
He gonna see it.
That he said, "Hey man, check this out. I want to have a sit down with that brother, man, because you know what, he on to something." But
I don't
right?
know if he gonna come to this hard when you I mean, you ain't use the word, but he kind of like in the realm of Tommen and Uncle and like, oh.
No, he's not in the realm. He was there. He was all the way there.
He was there.
Right?
That might have been a moment. Hold up, because we gotta save space for him. That might have been a moment because he sure did. Remember, he amplified Monique's voice. So you gotta give him credit there.
I would give him credit, but that don't mean he didn't put on the tap the tap dance and become nigga Charlie. He did that, man. So I can all you at the same time. I can give him credit for doing this over here, but I also see
look, he rubbed me the wrong way with that too. I gotta go like this.
But this is the beauty, right? Because see, black women, they got a gift, right?
Yeah.
Where they can look at a motherfucker and they like, I see what you just did. I saw that. So what you just did. And so Zora Neale Hurston, right? She had this letter that she wrote, right?
Yeah.
This is right after Brown versus Board of Education. She was highly upset because Zora Neale Hurston was far from a racist, but she was angry at black folks because she said, hey, look, why are we so caught up on integration when integration is not the end all? There are other things that we need to be focused on. You Negroes are tapping and clapping about integration, but we need to focus our attention over here too. Mm-hmm. So I would just tell Shannon Sharpe that I want him to listen to Zora Neale Hurston, and hopefully at the conclusion of this letter, hopefully he'll get something out of it to where he will never go on TV and not belittle us as a people. Hopefully he won't go and make himself look to be a monumental fool again by taking something where he doesn't even know the facts and using that as a referendum on African Americans. Because to me, he doesn't disrespect us so much as he disrespects himself and his family. So I want him to listen to these words of Zora Neale Hurston.
Huh?
I promised God and some other responsible characters, including a bench of bishops, that I was not going to part my lips concerning the U.S. Supreme Court decision on ending segregation in public schools of the South. But since a lot of time has passed and no one seems to touch on what to me appears to be the most important in the hassle, I break my silence just this once. Consider me just thinking out loud. The whole matter revolves around the self-respect of my people. How much satisfaction can I get from a court order for somebody to associate with me who does not wish me near them? The American Indian has never been spoken of as a minority, and chiefly because there's no wine in the Indian. Certainly he fought valiantly for his land, and rightfully so. But it is inconceivable of an Indian to seek forcible association with anyone. His well-known pride and self-respect would save him from that. I take the Indian position. Now, a great clamor will arise in certain quarters that I seek to deny the Negro children of the South their rights. And therefore, I am one of those handkerchief-head niggers who bow before the white man and sell out my own people out of cowardice. However, an analytical glance will show that that is not the case. If there are not adequate Negro schools in Florida, and there is some residual, some inherent and unchangeable quality in white schools impossible to duplicate anywhere else, then I'm the first to insist that Negro children of Florida be allowed to share this boon. But if there are adequate Negro schools and prepared instructors and instructions, then there is nothing different except the presence of white people. For this reason, I regard the ruling of the U.S. Supreme Court as insulting rather than honoring my race. Since the days of the never to be sufficiently deplored Reconstruction, there has been current the belief that there is no greater delight to Negroes than physical association with whites. The doctrine of the white mare. Those familiar with the habits of mules are aware that any mule, if not restrained, will automatically follow the white mare. Dishonest mule traders made money out of this knowledge in the old days. Lead a white mare along a country road and slyly open the gate, and mules in the lot would run out and follow this mare. This ruling being conceived and brought forth in a slyly political medium with eyes on 56 and brought forth in the same spirit and for the same purpose, it is clear that they have taken the old notion to heart and acted upon it. It is a cunning opening of the barnyard gate with the white mare ambling past. We are expected to hasten pell-mell after her. It is most astonishing that this should be tried just when the nation is exerting itself to shake off the evils of communist penetration. It is to be recalled that Moscow, being made aware of this folk belief, made it the main plank in their campaign to win the American Negro from the 1920s on. It was the come-on stuff. Join the party and get yourself a white wife or husband. To supply the expected demand, the party had scraped up this and that off of park benches and skid rows and held them in stock for us. The highest type of Negroes were held to be just panning to get a hold of one of these objects. Seeing how flat that program fell, it is astonishing that it would be so soon revived. Politics does indeed make strange bedfellows. But the South had better be aware in another direction. While it is frantic over the segregation ruling, it had better keep its eyes open for more important things. One instance of government by fiat had been rammed down its throat. It is possible that the end of segregation is not here and never meant to be here at present, but the attention of the South directed on what was calculated to keep us busy while more ominous things were brought to pass. The stubborn South and the Midwest kept this nation from being dragged farther to the left than it was during the New Deal. But what if it is contemplated to do away with the two-party system and arrive at government by administrative decree? No questions allowed and no information given from the administrative department. We could get more rulings from the same subject and more far-reaching any day. It pays to weight every saving in action, however trivial, as indicating a trend. In ruling on segregation, the unsuspected nation might have witnessed a trial balloon, a relatively safe one since it is sectional and on a matter not likely to arouse sections of the nation to support of the South. If it goes all fairly well, A precedent has been established. Government by fiat can replace the Constitution. You don't have to credit me with too much intelligence and penetration, just so you watch carefully and think. Meanwhile, personally, I'm not delighted. I am not persuaded and elevated by the white mare technique. Negro schools in the state are in very good shape and on the improve. We are fortunate in having Dr. D.E. Williams as head and driving force of Negro instruction. Dr. Williams is relentless in his drive to improve both physical equipment and teacher quality. He has accomplished wonders in 20 years past, and it is to be expected that he will double that in the future. It is well known that I have no sympathy nor respect for the tragedy of color. School of thought among us, whose fountainhead is the pressure group concerned in this court ruling. I can see no tragedy in being too dark to be invited to a white school affair, a white social affair. The Supreme Court would have pleased me more if they had concerned themselves about enforcing the compulsory education provisions for Negroes in the South as is done for white children. The next 10 years will be better spent in appointing truant officers and looking after conditions in the homes from which the children come. Use to the limit what we already have. Them's my sentiments, and I'm sticking by them. Growth from within, ethical and cultural desegregation. It is a contradiction in terms to scream race pride and equality while at the same time spurning Negro teachers in self-association. That old white man business can go racking on down the road for all I care. Shannon Sharp needs to stop following the white mule. And them be's my sentiments. And on that note, we're going to wrap this episode up. And I bid you farewell, my friend. And for all our listeners, I bid you peace, love, happiness, and nappiness. Y'all, all right? See y'all next time.
Thank you for joining with us on Bar Understood Podcast with your host Mr. Eric Hicks and co-host Delonte Wilkins.